Hello, my name is Ryan. To the Born This Way Foundation, all those that may come across this, whether it's today or in the future, I wanted to thank you first off for all the work and dedication that you put towards this endeavor. I also want to congratulate you on both Be Kind to One and the Channel Kindness book launch. They're fantastic. I'm incredibly proud of all of you. And again, I just wanted to share my sincere thanks with all of you there. It's about 4 months ago, I sent a brief message trying to introduce something I had been working on. In the intervening 4 months, it's been all kinds of things happening, and it's only today, this evening, this early morning, that I'm able to get back to you finally. Unfortunately, the scope of the project is such that there's still lots of writing and planning that has to be done in order to tell a comprehensive story in a manner that I think becomes understandable and can possibly create a new vision for where we could possibly head as a society if we started to work together. With that being said, right now, as a way to explore myself and get you a better idea of who I am and where I've come from, I thought I'd share with you one of my anchors. In 2014, I had a massive change in my life. Friendships, business opportunities, mentors, job, the place I was living, all of those things suddenly changed within the span of a week or two. Ultimately, it led to, the best thing I can liken it to is a nervous breakdown, a state of mania. But in all of that, there was an incredible inspiration that happened on June 5th, 2014. I felt that I could see the technology coming together, the story coming together, and the ability to communicate that to the world coming together in such a way that really just left me inspired. I don't know how else to say it. I realized there's an opportunity somewhere down in the future, and ultimately I had no idea where it would take me. But at the beginning of this year, in March, when all of our lives really changed with the pandemic, which we're still going through, that pause that started in New York and California, I saw as a real opportunity where if we could re-educate the citizens of this country and ultimately this world, I believe we could have a kind of global awakening, a common dream, a shared dream, a dream in which all life on this planet has space. All life on this planet has opportunity. And it was then that I realized that that some of the information that I had come across in my past from my personal interests, I believe could help to create the tide that could change that. I wanted to introduce you to one of my primary anchors. In 2014, this whole confluence of events that happened, my perspective changed, and that's in large part, if not entirely in part, of something I discovered towards the end of 2013, about the same time that Art Pop was being released to the world. And I think we can just share that here with you for a moment. That's the easiest way, right?
Cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. Our contemplations of the cosmos stir us. There's a tingling in the spine, a catch in the voice, a faint sensation as if a distant memory of falling from a great height. We know we are approaching the grandest of mysteries. The size and age of the cosmos are beyond ordinary human understanding. Lost somewhere between immensity and eternity is our tiny planetary home, the Earth. For the first time, we have the power to decide the fate of our planet and ourselves. This is a time of great danger, but our species is young and curious and brave. It shows much promise. In the last few millennia, we have made the most astonishing and unexpected discoveries about the cosmos and our place within it. I believe our future depends powerfully on how well we understand this cosmos in which we float like a mote of dust in the morning sky.
That is Carl Sagan, and in September 1980, that first episode of Cosmos, A Personal Voyage, was released to the world. I didn't see this again until late 2013. Ultimately, initially seeing it on Netflix. Shortly before I could get to the end of the series, disappeared from there. I was lucky enough to go into iTunes and was able to purchase that before it also disappeared from the store there. And it is actually one of my most prized possessions. My digital library that contains this is my anchor. And why is that? Well, in the course of this 13 hours in this program, you are shown the true scope of really where we are. I think many people, obviously, they live within their town, they live within their lifetime. That's an important window for an individual, but when you start to look at the larger picture of where we are, where we came from, you start to have a much larger appreciation of what it took to get here. And at this moment in time, in this age of disinformation, this age of division, believe we can use programming like this to better understand, better acquaint ourselves, and give ourselves a better perspective of where we are in this world, in this time. It's important for us because when we understand the past and where we came from, when we take account of where we are, we can project into the future, and we can all see that the current course that all of humanity is on is unsustainable and quickly leads to collapse. Cosmos also discusses some of the prior times when human civilization collapsed as well. From the time of Alexander and the burning of the library at Alexandria, through the Dark Ages and ultimately the Renaissance, I see parallels in what's happening today and these lessons from the past. If we're to have a shared dream for the future, I think we also need to share what we know about our past. There's another thing that's somewhat interesting that I think can better explain the tools and the mechanisms that those in power have been using to divide and ultimately maintain power. It's a short segment here on the brain, the history of the brain, the development of the brain. Carl, take it away.
Like our other organs, the brain has evolved, increasing over millions of years in complexity and information content. Its structure reflects all the stages through which it has passed. The brain has evolved from the inside out. Deep inside is the oldest part, the so-called brain stem. It conducts many of the basic biological functions, including the rhythms of life, like heartbeat and respiration. The higher functions of the brain have evolved in 3 successive stages, according to a provocative insight by the American biologist Paul MacLean. You see, capping the brain stem is the so-called R complex, R for reptile. It's the seat of aggression, ritual, territoriality, and social hierarchies. It evolved some hundreds of millions of years ago in our reptilian ancestors. So deep inside our brain is something rather like the brain of a crocodile. Surrounding the R complex is the limbic system, or mammal brain. It evolved some tens of millions of years ago in ancestors who were mammals, all right, but not yet primates like monkeys or apes. It's a major source of our moods and emotions, our concern, care for the young. And then finally, on the outside of the brain, living in a kind of uneasy truce with the more primitive brains beneath, is the cerebral cortex, evolved millions of years ago in ancestors who were primates.
There, I think you can start to understand really what's been happening. If we take this a little step further and we apply it to today's situations, we find that the R complex, the most primitive part of our brain, this is responsible for our fight or flight mechanisms. If this gets engaged, then all other functions of the brain seem to be on pause. Some of the greatest things I've found in order to try and go through this whole exercise of trying to create a vision for a dream where all life has space, you realize that You can't have those thoughts. Those thoughts, in order for those to happen, require peace, they require quiet, they require many things that are simply disrupted when your life is in chaos. And the divisions that we see, the constant, well, we don't need to go into all that stuff. What's important is that I think we can better understand what's been happening, and by understanding that, we can hope to try and make inroads to immunize ourselves from these things. So, in the future,